we're coming off the heels of the Nipsey Hussle murder
Man,
right
that fucked
now.
me up, bro. I'm still fucked up.
Yeah, I think everyone's fucked up over it, and it just, you know, I'm assuming that whatever situation you were in with the shooting probably started with some words that started to escalate. You know what I'm
Very
saying?
quickly, yeah, man. I mean, it started even before the words, man. Um, I think my best description of this event is actually how I presented in my one-man show, Harlem to Hollywood, because I actually do it through a musical hip hop moment. Um, but I saw 9 dudes beating up on one guy, one at a golf club, one at a bat. Um, and I'm looking up ahead and they're beating this kid. And so my first thought was, this is some bullshit. Why do you need 9 guys to beat up on one kid? And there were 2 high schools on 50th Street. So at 3 o'clock, you have a few thousand kids walking down the street. So it's already a bit of chaos just with that. And then watching someone be beaten like that, brought up in me a bit of anger and indignation, righteous indignation. Like, that's some bullshit. And it was like, I wish a nigga would. I literally said that. And next thing I know, I get pushed. I push the kid back. Next thing I know, another kid grabs me around the neck. And so there were actually very little words. It escalated very, very quickly. And all it took was another kid saying, yo, cap him, cap him. There was no conversation. I didn't do anything to these kids, but that's part of the post-traumatic slave syndrome, is that we don't regard each other as humans because we were told we were not human. And so we don't see ourselves in each other. And so we don't recognize the humanity in ourselves. So your life means nothing to me. And so I never felt that way. But I understood that that's what it was. You know, in this particular case, it was both Black and Latino kids together. But, you know, the Nipsey situation is, I mean, they say dude was mentally disturbed. Clearly, if, you know, you need to, you know, have that kind of reaction to someone who is clearly doing a lot of the right things, you know. I mean, there's 2 ways I look at that. I mean, none of us, there's a birthday and a death day. And, you know, we can predict the birthday, generally speaking, right? Once you go to the doctor and get checked out, but we don't always know when we're going to leave. And so, but there is a time limit for all of us. We just don't know when it is or how it's going to happen. I think the Nipsey situation, it's crazy because I never met Kid, but I know people who knew him and work with him. But I absolutely see myself in him, especially the part about living to make a difference where you are and making sure that those around you see by example what you're doing. Like in Harlem, where I grew up, where Dame and I grew up, I used to throw this block party. It was 4 blocks from 160th Street to 110th Street. I used to call it Peace in the Upper East. And thousands of people would show up, and we'd have fashion shows and concerts, and brought in the Black Rodeo, and, you know, vendors and massage booths. And it all started because there's a daycare center connected to the building where we grew up. And my family was the first family to move into that complex because my father was on the union that built it. 1199 Hospital Union was behind that. And I went by one summer and there was a water hose in the tree that they fixed up, you know, fashioned a little sprinkler system. And to me, that was absurd. I got it, what they were trying to do, but I was like, these kids deserve more than that. It should be like Disneyland up here. And so my intention was to do that. And I funded it the first year. I don't know, it wasn't maybe $15,000, $20,000, whatever it was. And then the next year I got sponsors and, you know, wanted to do it for the community. And then the third year, people would see me, oh, Malik, yo, you doing that thing next year? And I'm like, what are you doing? Are you doing it? Nah, but you gotta do. No, but are you doing it? I don't live here, but I come back because I believe the kids in this neighborhood need to see something different. And so I can understand when you're from the hood and you want to go back and do something bombastic that most people wouldn't do. And many came before me who did not do what I was doing. And what it feels like when the people who you're trying to serve don't always want to serve themselves, or they want to hate on you, or they want to, tell you think you all that, whatever it might be, And I think when you have an understanding of where it comes from, you can be more compassionate. But I mean, it's still heartbreaking what happened, to Nip, because man, that dude, he was all over. I mean, just the fact that he was there buying clothes for someone who had just returned home from being incarcerated. And that's the work I do. I'm leaving here right now to go to a gala for an organization called GOSO that just does just that. They work with people who are returning citizens, as we like to call them. And so that work is really important. The education piece is important, inspiring kids, creating opportunity. So yeah, that hit hard.
Yeah, I mean, we lose a lot of rappers. A lot of in the past couple of years, we've lost a lot of people like XXX Tentacion, Lil Peep, Fredo Santana. But the impact of losing Nipsey just seems to be so much bigger. In all these cities, these massive vigils, like the outpouring of support and so forth, it almost feels like when we lost Tupac in a certain regard.
Yeah, I mean, Tupac talked a lot about what we need to do for the community. And obviously, with his mother, Afeni, who was a Panther, and, by extension, the breakfast programs, education programs, and all that kind of stuff that he was steeped in, he spoke to those things. But Nipsey was actually doing those things. The interesting thing about him is that he wasn't on everybody's radar like that, right? And I think that it's the tragedy cracked open the truth of what dude was really doing, and that's what fucks people up, because you realize, man, this dude was really doing it. I got a friend here right now that does real estate development, and I do development as well, and we were having a meeting earlier just talking about some of the things that he was aware of in LA, because he's from LA, talking about what he knew was in the pipeline, the parks that Nips had done, and the sneakers that he gave out to kids, and just really being about it. And I think people see themselves in a different kind of way. There's an accessibility, because like they say, he's the people's champ.
Yeah, I mean, they had just bought that strip mall that he was murdered in. Like, they had actually bought the whole property.
Yeah, I mean, there's a documentary on YouTube that I'd watched about the journey to even get that piece of property. His brother used to sell T-shirts in front before they started Slauson Tees. The first store that they had, and losing the lease, and the brother going to jail, and then getting out, and just being committed to that corner, and committed to branding Crenshaw as a place that is worthy of people traveling from around the world. There's some projects on the real estate side I've been wanting to do in the Bronx for the same reason, like give people something other than the Yankees and Botanical Gardens and the Bronx Zoo to need to come to the Bronx, to come visit, the birthplace of hip hop. Haven't had the success yet with that particular project, but I get what the effort was,
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Nipsey, man. Quite a loss.